Hey guys, I'm back. I figured I'd change it up a little bit. My first couple episodes were in the office, and then I did a podcast with Malachi Greb, the manufacturing come up the other day. My back porch with the lake and the hills. Yes, there are hills in Florida. So I figured, I'm out for my daily walk. Let's go ahead and do it. Apologies to the podcast, the brutal truth of sales and selling. You've probably seen the gentleman who does his daily walk and does his little podcast every day. So I promise I'm not stealing your idea. I just figured I'd go ahead and give this one a shot while I was out enjoying the beautiful Florida weather today. We're actually singing a little bit of fall. So today's topic is about communication between departments. I got a question from, I believe it's pronounced Delano. Forgive me if I've mispronounced that. He actually sent me a private message with rather detailed, list of examples, excuse me, of how his communication maybe could be better in certain areas, and I think that's true of every company. And I'm not going to go read the entire question, but it basically came down to, are there methodologies or software that help groups communicate together? So let's go ahead and jump into that. One of his first examples was sales maybe promising something that engineering, once they get the project, they're like, what did you sell? For how much? So, way I've always worked with that is, of course, you really need to have a good applications group. You need to have technical salespeople. They've got to understand what is possible and what's not possible, and how much that stuff costs. I've always also made sure that there's an engineering representation in the room when we're talking about brainstorming and coming up with concepts. And when we do the final proposal and pricing, engineering does get involved in that as well, just to look and say, hey guys, I think you're might be a little bit low on that feeder bowl. We bought one last month and it was same size, it was a little bit more. So you might want to bump that up a little bit. The next aspect was communication between engineering, procurement, and finance. So, engineers are ready to release a project. They can't really release it to purchasing yet because they're not real sure about if the accounting department has received the down payment or if the terms have been settled and all that. Again, all this comes down to basic communication, but there are some tools that we use. We have an invoice tracker so that we can make sure that anybody can look and see to make sure where the payments are. The person who mainly handles that is our project management team. And that's something really important. A lot of companies will just put the lead engineer on a project as the project manager. We did that years and years ago, but what we learned was you really need one point of contact, and the customers really like that. So we formed a project management group and started with one person, and that is somebody who runs all the projects from a schedule and delivery and milestone and first point of contact aspect. Of course, we're going to have the customers talking to the engineers. They're going to be talking to sales. The customers are talking to a lot of people, but if they ever have any issues, that project management group is always that first point of contact. And they're the ones who make sure that accounting knows that they've got to invoice this, and then purchasing knows that the invoice came in so they can go ahead and buy the parts that engineering released. So again, having that one person managing all of those aspects. So those were three kind of specific examples, but from a higher level, we instituted what we call huddles. Huddles are quick meetings in the beginning of a project. It's in a conference room. You probably have the CAD model brought up. You might have some of the specs brought up, but it's a weekly meeting where everybody involved in that project, all the engineers, the lead assemblers, the project manager, even sales in the beginning, of course, are sitting down and going over and talking about, what are any of the issues that are holding us up. Purchasing might come and say, hey guys, we just got notified that, some PLC is 30-week lead time. All right, well, do we need to, swap that out for a different brand or a different model? So it's that cadence of meetings that's really important, that, again, those huddles. And then as the machine starts progressing, we're doing those huddles out on the floor, by the machine, so we can actually touch and feel and look. They're all mandatory requirement, mandatory attendance. You've got to be there as part of that project. It takes about an hour per week per project. I would drop into them randomly just to kind of see how things were going, and always pleasantly surprised when everything's good, everything's on schedule, and even happy when we've got a problem, but here's a way to solve it. So it's always good to get everybody involved in that. So closing up here, last question was about software specifically. Is there software that we use? And yes, we used to use Slack many years ago. We have since moved to Teams. Teams comes free with your Microsoft subscription pretty much. Why not use it? It's got its own little oddities and quirks, but overall could not imagine not having the software. Every project has its own channel, so that everybody involved within that project can at any time jump in and make some comments, post files. We've got template files already loaded into these channels. We can do lightweight CAD models. So if the sales guy wants to show the customer state of the machine, they can pop it up and spin it around in 3D. So generating a lot of collaborative content, which is especially important when you've got remote workers as well. Another great aspect of it is it cuts down on the amount of email that you get, internal emails. No more 15, 20 people on a thread asking their opinions and everything, and everybody replying and some people ignoring it. You pop that into a Teams channel, and the people who need to contribute do, and the people who don't. The other thing is collaborating on a document. I know everybody has done this. Here's an Excel form. I'm going to send it out to 15 people. They're all going to make their changes, send them back to me, and then I've got to figure out how to incorporate those changes. That drives me nuts. Put it in a Teams channel. People can edit it in real time, on the fly, all at the same time. When you're done, boom, your document's done. So saves so much time. The collaborative aspect of these tools are just simply amazing. Can't imagine how much data we used to generate a day. I mean, it was probably a gig of data a day, easily. We generate so much data in our teams. Couldn't live without it. So I know it's a love and hate relationship with some people, but if you really put some rules in place and really start to use it, it's an absolutely amazing tool for collaboration. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bid you adieu. Hopefully that answered some of your questions. Try to make these a little more short, a little more entertaining. But hope you guys have a good day, and see you around. Hey guys, I was on Malachi's Manufacturing Come Up podcast the other day, and in the background there was a big hill, and somebody asked me, there's actually hills in Florida, and yes there are. This is my 105-foot tall hill. You can see the neighborhood in the background there, and there's more construction going on, but it's a pretty unique little feature. It's probably about a mile long. They got some running paths and stuff up here, and it's kind of cool just to have a hill in Florida. It's a little bit different. So I better get down though. The oxygen's a little thin for us Floridians. So enjoy the podcast.